Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Pretty Puzzles Grind on chess.com. As always, I'll try to solve the puzzles as quickly as possible and then talk about the solutions. So let's begin. Well, that was a bit quick. Yeah, I suppose it's a new puzzle and it's just mate in one. I was a bit confused. Why is this puzzle so simple? But yeah, it's just mate in one. The king can't capture the rook because my bishop covers the square and the bishop also covers this diagonal, and yeah, the rook just covers everything else. So yeah, just a very simple mate in one. Wow, this is crazy. I really don't see anything in this position. I must be really missing something. Oh, this might be it actually. Yeah, that seems correct. Wow, so it actually ended up being a bit more complicated, but yeah. So I was looking at these checks, and I just didn't see anything. So yeah, it just doesn't work. He goes anywhere, and I can't mate him. But yeah, also like this check doesn't work. He just goes here, and yeah, I really have nothing. It's just not great. But then I noticed that I have this check, and this is the only move. And really, if I try to check him somehow, then it's the same. It just doesn't work. I have nothing. But yeah, instead I can bring my bishop here, attack the queen, and also threaten mate on the e7 square. So just a very logical move. And yeah, then I really didn't calculate any further because I thought that he either has to lose the queen or just get mated. But yeah, apparently it gets a bit trickier after he sacrifices his queen for the rook, and I take, and then apparently he has this check and also discovering the attack on my queen. So really, it's not so straightforward. If I didn't have this pawn take, really, I would just be close to losing. But since I have this, I don't really care about him taking my rook because I'm just up a knight. So yeah, not so simple, but pretty nice. Yeah, so this is quite complicated, but I think the pawn push is just the simplest way to kick away that knight, and I think that nothing else works. As if I take, it's equal, and if I try something, it's just not as forcing. So I'll just try this because it seems reasonable, and if it's incorrect, well then it's incorrect. But I think it's pretty decent. Yes, and it is indeed pretty decent. And I think I can just take, because I don't think that he's mating me, because I just escaped. Yeah, I think I'm fine. Apparently I'm not. I mean, this way I for sure don't get mated, or I'm just missing something. Alright, so why am I getting mated if I take the knight? Is what I'm not seeing. Oh, apparently has queen h5 check, and then has this check, and then takes on g6, forking my rook and queen. Wow, so this is not so simple to see. Yeah, if I take the knight, apparently he has this check and I can't escape, I must block, and then he has this check, I once again can't capture the knight and can't escape, but, well, now I can, but if I do, he has this fork, which really is the only move that messes me up, so apparently it doesn't work for this reason, not so easy to see, but yeah, it makes sense, and yeah, then really, if I can't capture the knight, then I somehow have to prevent him from taking the pawn, and h6 seems quite reasonable, but the issue with it is apparently he forks me once again, and it's not great, but yeah, then another way to block it would be g6, block this attack once again, but apparently then he just sacks, and if I take, he takes, and I block, and apparently he just goes back. So I mean, it's not simple, as you can see, and really the other way, if I just play g5, then he can't sack the knight. I mean, he still can play this move, but apparently then the difference is that, yeah, wait, once again, what's the difference between this position? So here I'm getting forked, right? And then if I play here, I'm also getting forked, but I can take, and in this position I can't take, because here I have to block. Wait, I really need to do analysis boards to really tell the difference. So really, here if I play g6, I'm not winning, And here, if I play g5, I'm winning. Right, so this is g6, this is g5, this is drawn or something, and this is winning. In both positions, his best move is this. So it looks very similar. And in both positions, my best move is capturing the knight. And in both positions, he takes. And in both positions, I have to block. And why is this a draw and why is this won? Apparently here, if he takes, I take, and I'm winning because I'm up a bishop. And here if he takes and I take, he has this. And then I can't go here because he has this fork. Right, and if I go elsewhere, he keeps checking me. So the draw is, because I can't go here once again because of this fork, he would collect my rook. And if I go here, he just keeps checking me. And that's why it's not so great. And apparently in this position, he can't check me because my pawn covers my king on g5. Wow, so that's actually the difference. The difference is that here there's no pawn, he can check me with the rook, and here he can't, and that makes all the difference. So wow, really complicated puzzle, and really I have to analyze it quite deeply to understand that that pawn on g5 actually is there to protect me from the check of the rook. So yeah, not so simple, but pretty interesting. Right, so yeah, this is quite interesting. Yeah, you can notice the tension on the f file between the rook and the queen. They're both attacking each other, and you can notice this bishop on this diagonal, pretty important. And then really, yeah, the knight also kind of, this move looks the most interesting because it's a check and it's also a fork. So at first I thought maybe I can just take, he takes with the queen and then I fork him. But then he just takes the rook, and if I take, I mean, I guess I can show this line. If I do this, he just takes, and if I take, really, I have a rook for a queen, so this just doesn't work. It's completely lost. But yeah, the other thing you can do is just check with the knight. And really, if he doesn't take, if he moves the king, then you just do what is done in the puzzle, and you're just up a knight. But what's more interesting is if he takes, then really you have to check him. You could just recapture the queen, but the issue is that if you do that, then he just recaptures your queen and you're down in exchange and completely losing. But yeah, if you, once again, if he I was explaining this right. Yeah, when he takes the knight, really, you have to check him because it actually doesn't save his queen. You might think, well, he could just block with the queen and save it, but really, in this line, the problem for him is that the bishop is also attacking the queen. So, well, this would just be mate, and yeah, he can't block with the queen any other way because it just hangs the queen. So the key move here is that he can't go queen c1 and block it because the bishop is on this diagonal. If he had some way to block it without the bishop attacking the queen, then really it would be equal, but he can't, and he just has to lose the queen and really the game. So yeah, very beautiful puzzle. Yeah, so I'm really confused. I think it's either rook takes or bishop takes the bishop, but I really can't seem to make any of this work, really. It just seems like I'm close to something good, but I really don't see it, so yeah, I'm really not sure what's the move here. Yeah, so I'll just guess that it's bishop takes. It's probably wrong somehow because I'm clearly missing something, but yeah, I'm really not sure. Wait, maybe there's also this move. No, there probably isn't. So yeah, I'll just guess it is bishop takes. If it's not, then I'm really curious about the solution. Yeah, so is it rook takes? And I saw this, but I saw this position, and I think that I have nothing here. So clearly, I missed something. But what did I miss? What did I miss, guys? I just don't see it. Like if I take the rook, he just takes back, and I have nothing. I think so. Clearly, there's some move here which somehow is winning. Is it just taking the rook somehow? It's not, so clearly there's something else, but what could it be? It is attacking the queen, but why does he not just go to f1 with the queen? Why doesn't he just do this? Because then I can take the pawn, apparently. And if he does this, apparently I just go back. And he still can't move the rook because that would be mate in 1 on h1. So tries this, but then I think I can just. Oh, I can't take because he takes and I take, and if he is just equal, but what do I have then? Apparently, first I just moved the rook away somewhere. And he still can't move this rook because of mate in 1. Then he defends. Then apparently have to take. And he takes. And apparently only move. Now that the rook is pinned, I attack it from there with another rook. Wow, so this whole line is very complicated. Like, I was calculating that line with the rook takes, but really, it's just crazy that apparently here I attack the queen, and if he goes there, I can just take the pawn. Well, if he takes, of course, I just win the queen, but yeah, actually, all of these lines quite complicated and quite deep in calculations. So yeah, pretty complex puzzle, but I suppose it also makes sense, but really you have to see quite deep in some lines. So, and yeah, the crucial move is that apparently when you attack the queen, he can't just move it away because you take the pawn. So yeah, not simple, but interesting. Are you serious? It's not that. I have to take with the bishop and then it's mate. So why does taking with the rook lose? Damn, it feels so bad to just get the because it hangs the rook. God, so sad. I saw the whole line like no, except that I have to capture the bishop because really I threatened mate in one and yeah, but if I take my rook just hangs. Wow, so stupid of me. Of course, and if I take with the bishop, he can't prevent mate in one no matter what he does. If he goes here, it's just mate. If he does whatever, then this is just mate, and this rook is crucial. And really, I have to take the queen with the bishop because otherwise I just hang my rook. So very very horrible and upsetting that yeah I just captured the rook without using my brain like that. Yeah, let me take some deep breaths, guys. I'm a bit tilted after that horrible move. Alright guys, so horrible moves happen. Remember, especially in puzzles, not to be hasty and really take your time and think about the moves, because you can just blunder very stupid moves like I just did. So once again, this is correct, and really taking with the rook is very horrible because it hangs the other rook and there's no mate and you're just completely lost. But if you take with the bishop, he can't prevent getting mated. So yeah, take your time and really don't blunder like that. Right, so yeah, feels a bit better to bounce back after that horrible previous puzzle, but I mean, my horrible blunder in the puzzle. The whole puzzle was beautiful, but yeah, it's my bad. And yeah, in this puzzle, it's just a first mate in 5, as you can see, and yeah, really, you have only 2 checks. You have this check and this check. So yeah, the bishop checks makes a bit more sense, because then really he has no moves. The rook covers that file. He has no moves with the king, so he has to block with the rook. And then really it's not so straightforward, as you can see. Really there's only one move, because if you try and do something like this, it's just too slow, because he has some checks of his own, and yeah, it's just not great. You can't really win here. I think he just gets a perpetual check or something. Yeah, really, you can't escape this check. So yeah, that's why this move is too slow, even though it threatens mate. He has a perpetual check and you just don't win. But really, then you have this interesting check, in which case, yeah, his king can't move. He can't capture with anything else besides the king, so he has to capture with the king, and then luckily you have this check bringing the queen in. And then really it's once again just only move, and then conveniently the bishop and the queen just join in, attacking the rook, and once again only 2 moves, and whatever he does, this is just mate, because the bishop covers that square and the queen covers all of these squares. So yeah, just a forced mate, very beautiful. Wow, so this puzzle is really not so simple. So we don't have that many moves really. The pawn pushes don't make any sense, and yeah, the bishop doesn't really have anything to do, so you have to bring the queen in pretty much somehow, and try and somehow threaten something against his king. This move just hangs the queen, doesn't make sense, and so you could also try something like this, but just doesn't feel natural. The queen doesn't really have access to this whole area, so yeah, this just feels more logical to get on this diagonal and yeah, have some promising moves. And really what you can notice that if you got your queen to f6, with the bishop in this position, it would be a battery and you would be threatening mate in one, so he has to prevent that somehow. If he pushes, well, it doesn't prevent that in any way, really. Just gives him this square, and really, then this would be mate in one if he didn't do anything, so he has to bring the queen in. And here you would have to find this crucial move. This still doesn't checkmate him immediately, but has to go here, and then the king and the queen are on the same diagonal as in the puzzle's variation. But yeah, here he can't block, of course, because you just take and you just win the queen anyway. Yeah, but in the puzzle he tries something similar, not f6, but f5, and then you really go for the same idea. And once again, only move, because if he made some random move, this is just checkmate. The queen and the bishop just, yeah, checkmating him. And yeah, then if he finds the only move, you still go for the same idea. That's the only move, and you attack the king and the queen on the same file, on the same rank, I mean. And yeah, then if he moves away, you just win the queen, and if he blocks, well, you win the queen anyways. So yeah, pretty beautiful. Right? I don't understand why would he trade. He can just go for the spawn, isn't it better for him? So what's the difference? If I take the queen, well, he has to take, and I take. and if he trades, I'm just up a rook. But wait, so what's so bad about this move? What's so bad is that yeah, he has mate in one. Yeah, I somehow didn't consider that. Yeah, I thought okay, the queen has to either take or move out of the way, but yeah, I kind of missed that this is just mate in one. So really, everything would be fine with that capture if he didn't have mate in one, and in all other positions you're just up a rook. So yeah, once again, you can't take with the rook because queen h8 is checkmate. So yeah, you take the queen, and then even if he goes for the pawn, instead of capturing, you're just up a rook, I suppose, and we're winning. So yeah, pretty bad to miss that mate on one, but yeah, it happens. All right, so let's go for the last puzzle then. Also, in this puzzle, it's actually a very common tactic. When you see that you have a passed pawn and the king is on the second or seventh rank, really you have this tactic where if you push and he puts his rook behind the pawn and you push again, then really if you move the rook, let's say the king stays on the second rank somewhere, then if he's not on this these two squares, then you can just move the rook away. Let's say he goes towards it or whatever. You move the rook away, and actually he can't capture because you check him and you skewer the rook and the king, and wherever he goes, you just win the rook. And if he in this position tries to move away like here, you just check him, and wherever he goes, you just promote. He has to take, and you're just up a rook anyway. So really, if the king is on the second or seventh ranks and you have a passed pawn and the rook in front of it, then really these tactics really can just win you the game. So a good thing to keep in mind, this idea where if the king is on the second rank, you can just move the rook away behind the king, and he just can't capture the pawn because you check and just win the rook. So yeah, very beautiful. All right, we got 10 puzzles in, but I'm feeling quite positive. Like some horrible moves today, like missing mate till one and hanging my rook in this puzzle, upset me a little. But I'm feeling motivated to get one more puzzle in. So really, let's just try our best, and yeah, hope that we can solve it. So this is a difficult decision, but I think if I take his queen, I can't win, I must draw somehow. But even then I might just be losing, so I think taking the rook is actually the better move, because then I at least secure the pawn, and worst case I draw, and best case I win with these passed pawns. So yeah, I think I'll try taking the rook. It might be wrong, but really I don't see how could I stop his passed pawn. Just seems too difficult. Yeah, and apparently it's wrong, so how do I stop it? I saw this and I saw this, but what I saw all of this, but how is this winning? I don't understand. How is this winning? Apparently that's how it's winning. Wow, apparently I just let my queen chill on a8 and I just push the pawn. Wait, but what if he goes here? Then apparently I don't go to a8, you mean? Well, I can apparently. But what if he just goes here? Then apparently I have this idea anyway where I just collect the rook. So it seems like he can't stop my passed pawn without ending up on the back rank, in which case I have the check on a1 and I collect the rook and really come back in time to get his passed pawns. So wow, that's really quite crazy. I didn't really consider that he doesn't really have an easy way stopping my pawn because of this check. I completely missed that I have the check on a1 while going across the entire board just to yeah collect the rooks, so and still come back in time to protect that promotion square and collect the pawns. So wow. Wow, a very crazy puzzle. And yeah, why this move is correct, because he just threatens to mate the king. He has to take, and apparently I can't take the queen because yeah, I saw all this coming back in time, and he can't stop my pawn without avoiding losing the rook. So wow, or the pawn, and then I have a queen for a rook. So yeah, very beautiful. Sad to miss that, but it's all right. I'm not very upset because this is very beautiful, and yeah, I can learn that idea from this puzzle. And yeah, like here, if he doesn't take the rook, let's say he does some move like queen f1, then really I just attack the queen in this case. And then he doesn't have any great moves. If he plays like f5, I just take the queen and he's just winning. And yeah, he just doesn't have any good defense. Let's say he does some weird move like this, then he just gets mated. So he has to take my rook. And yeah, and then the solution is the same as in the puzzle. Once again, the key thing to notice is that you can check him on a1 and collect the rook if he tries to stop your passed pawn on the e file. So yeah, very beautiful. Yeah, sad to have missed such beautiful moves, but really it's all right. I can learn from them and yeah, come back stronger the next day. So yeah, if you got this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, you can like it and also subscribe to my channel and check my Twitter out. The link to it is in the description. So that's all for today. Once again, thank you so much and I'll see you next time.